Shema Yisrael, Krias Shema, Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shomayim is definitely one of the ikrim of davening. While it's a mitzvah on its own, Chazal not only placed it in davening, but implanted it in the middle of davening, surrounded it with brachas. And the brachas sometimes would seem a bit mysterious. We're busy talking about things that we have no understanding of. The bracha starts with Yotzer Ohr, and before we know it, we're talking about the malachim, and what do we know? What does it have to do with us? What are we saying this for? All in all, it makes for something of an air of mystery around this combination of brachas and Shema itself. What is it that we're trying to do? The bracha before Krias Shema starts with Yotzer Ohr u'varei choshech, oiseh shalom u'varas hakol. It's a bracha for Or, which seemingly belongs to Pesukei Dezimra. What's it doing in Birkas Krias Shema? What has to do with Krias Shema? So I'd like to share with you the basic underlying concept that Krias Shema and its brachas are dealing with. You see, Shemona Esrei, we're standing before the king. We're in the palace, we're standing before the king. The rest of davening, we're talking about him. We're in his presence, but we're not in the palace. We're not standing in front of him. We don't have the same dress code. You don't have to have your feet together. You don't have to whisper. You don't have to wear what you'd wear when you're oimed b'fnei HaMelech. In Pesukei Dezimra, we're beginning to find Hashem by seeing his fingerprints in nature. We see him there. We're working our way up till we arrive at the palace. In Birkas Krias Shema, we're into going past nature, getting into something that is closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom himself, and that is understanding the purpose of everything. In Pesukei Dezimra, we didn't talk about purpose. In Pesukei Dezimra, all we spoke about was just how great nature was, and that all of nature sings to Hashem, and that we want all of nature to sing with us. In Birkas Krias Shema, we are talking about the why. What is the purpose of it? Leading all the way up to Shema Yisrael, which is Yehudo Yisparach, the unity of Hashem, which of course calls for discussion, but ultimately what we're saying is that there's one purpose to everything, which is Hashem Echad. There's one purpose to everything. Yotzer Ohr u'varei choshech, oiseh shalom u'varas hakol is based on the pasuk in Yeshaya, Yotzer Ohr u'varei choshech, oiseh shalom u'varei ra. No, we're not going to start the day off with evil. We're speaking about ra, so it's hakol. Ramchal in Das Tfunis already points this out, but the Mefarshim, it's the Malbim, the Gra, and the Shemas Nerdafim, they take note of the fact that it says Yotzer Ohr, that's Yetzira, u'varei choshech, that's Bria. Oiseh Shalom is Asiya, u'varei Ra, or is Hakol, and that's again Bria. And they explain to us there are different levels of sophistication in Hashem's creations. The most basic one is Bria, which means Hashem accommodated its existence. He made that this should have a place. Above that is Yetzira, where Hashem gives it form. And then there's Asiya, where Hashem perfected it. Yotzer Ohr, light was a Yetzira. Light was a Yetzira, Hashem gave it form. Varei choshech. Choshech is the background to light. Hashem made that the background should be the choshech. He didn't perfect darkness. He made darkness as the backdrop to Or, to light. Oiseh Shalom, peace, that's an Asiya. That's something Hashem had to perfect. The coexistence of different ideas, certainly up in heaven, where everything coexists, and even on earth in the way they have to work together. That's an Asiya. That's a perfection. Chazal used the concept of Oiseh Shalom v'Roimav. They use it with regard to Makas Barid in Mitzrayim, where it was a piece of ice with Eish Mislakachas, fire inside it. Fire and ice are opposites, and they work together. That's Shalom. You know, a marriage where husband and wife agree on everything, that's not called shalom bayis. It's called boredom. It's boring. That's not what a relationship's about. What's a relationship about? When you differ and you still know how to work together. When you're fully cooperative. When two people are harmonizing, not sounding the same. Harmony. The beauty of music is harmony. The different instruments, whether in singing. It's the same thing with shalom. Shalom is when you have lots of different things working in unison. And that calls for an asiyah, that calls for a perfection. Ois shalom, and then Borei Ra. Ramchal uses this to answer, how could it be that the source to everything is Hashem? So where did evil come from? Also Hashem. What, Hashem makes evil? Evil comes, Ra comes from Hashem. So he said it was only a bria. It was only a bria. Hashem made it be as a background. He didn't go and craft it. Evil is not crafted. It's there. And then Ramchal continues. What is the role of it? And this is really what we're saying already at the beginning of Yotzer Ohr. We're assigning purpose to all the different kinds of things that exist. Or has a Yetzira, Shalom has a Bria, everything that goes under Or is a Yetzira, everything that goes under Shalom that's included in Shalom is an Asiyah, perfection. So sophisticated. But then there's Bria. Included in that is Ra and everything like it. We say Hakol, but we mean Ra. The term Hakol reminds me very much of the Chazal. Vayar Hashem is Kol Asher Osav Yini Toiv Ma'oid at the very end. And Chazal Darshan, what is that? The Yotzer Ohr and the malachim, the Sidra, the Satan. What does it mean? What does it mean? And Hirsch says there, not in its own, is Kol Asher Osav, everything all together. Everything all together, and Chazal saying that here also. It's that Ra serves a purpose. Hashem created us to earn our existence, to earn our closeness to Him. And for that, He gave us free will and the ability to create Ra. He gave us the ability to choose Ra and make a reality of it, and then pay the consequences. But the real purpose of it is as a backdrop against which we can choose Toiv. And the Torah says, Hashem gives us as a chayim v'sa toiv v'sa mav v'sa ra. Toiv, good, that's life, that's real existence. Ra's diminished existence, it's dead, partial death. We're saying right away, we looked at this beautiful creation. In it there are all kinds of elements. Some of them are Yetzira, some of them are Nasiya, they are mamish, the finished product. And a lot of it is Bria. And the Ra is not there in its own right, it's only there to give us the ability to avoid it, to choose not to follow it, to choose not to be like it. Hashem created the world with imperfection as the perfect way of serving the purpose of our choosing Toiv from Ra. I'll even go further. We understand that Adam Arishan was not what we were like, what we are like. Adam Arishan, his teva was good. His instincts were good. His Yotzer Ohr was external. His Yotzer Ohr was the snake, the serpent, the nochash, hakadmoini. He naturally did what was right. Hashem gave him the ability to eat from the Eitz Hadas, become a Yodea Tov Ra, and make the Yotzer Ohr internal, and become mortal. And that's what he did. And that was the plan. What's pshat? Hashem didn't make death. He created the ability of humanity to choose death. It was a bria. He gave Adam Arishan the ability to choose mortality. Hashem is all good, but in order for the absolute good to be accomplished, we had to be Bala Bechira, we had to choose. So for that, there's got to be evil. Yeah, he was buried then. There's got to be death. He was buried then. And in what way was he buried? He gave humanity the ability to choose that state on its own. Why? Of course, that we should overcome it. So that we should rise above it. So that we should reach the level of Yaakov Avinu, who was Adam Arishan Kedem Achet. Yaakov Avinu Lemez. This whole section This entire section of Birkas Krias Shema is dealing with the purpose of existence and the different parts of it. And ultimately, the purpose is for us to connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. For that, to get the eternal pleasure, so that the Rebbeinu Shalom can have the ability to give, which is what He created us for in the first place. For that, there have to be different elements of Nisayan. There have to be different imperfections. And we have the ability to perfect them. We have the ability to overcome. We have the ability to perfect. Hashem created the world that way. So Birkas Krias Shema, which is going deeper as we're approaching the Melech himself, as we're approaching Hashem, we look deeper into existence and understand what the purpose of existence is and how the different elements in existence have their own purpose. The evil ones for us to choose against, the good ones for us to choose. And everything else to help us get there. What are the malachim all about? What's a malach? So, we have descriptions. The different Nevi'im saw the malachim. And they talk about them with wings. Some have lots of eyes. Different kinds of malachim. And there's srafim and chayas. Is that what they look like? No. Remember, Nevuah is mashal. Nevuah is mashal. The mashal to what a malach is has wings, flies around. What a malachim really? We understand that every malach is an isolated ratzon of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ritzono Yisbarach then comes to this world and affects a change. And each malach is a different ratzon, and sometimes an act comes about, a change comes about in this world for a combination of reasons, and therefore you'll have lots of different malachim involved. And there's so many things going on all over the place. And you know something? For everything that happens to every single human being, that happens to every single animal, that happens to everything, there's a malach. At least one. And all the different reciters of the Rebbeinu Shalom, they're all working at the same time. And here's the chiddush. The chiddush is that they're all perfectly synchronized. They're all working together. That's what we talk about in the malachim. In unison, they say Kodesh and Baruch. Leisim Rishu Zelazeh. Leisim Rishu Zelazeh. They work together. Yes, they have a self-awareness. Malachim have a self-awareness. They all work together. The billions upon billions upon billions. I don't want to say billions because trillions are also too small. The number of occurrences that are taking place in the entire world, in an entire universe, every fraction of a second. And it's all synchronized. All of the Rebbeinu Shalom's different ritzonos for different things to happen. The Rebbeinu Shalom is orchestrating everything, and it's all leading to one place. And that's Shema Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What is that Hashem Echad? We live for one reason. Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shomayim means we accept upon ourselves the reason why we're alive, why Hashem created us, to give, that we be the recipients of His good. There's one purpose in all that exists. It's not like good exists for one purpose and evil exists for something totally different, and they're working against each other, and they're forces of good and forces of evil, and they're fighting. Back in mythology, you have the different gods fighting each other. Chalila, that's not us. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Everything is working in harmony. Everything is bringing to that ultimate one purpose in life, which is our connecting with the Rebbeinu Shalom, being able to mekabel the schar of lisaneg al Hashem, and feeling close to Him. And everything plays its own role in that. And everything that happens, everything within nature that goes on, every occurrence, everything we find ourselves in, everything is another expression of the Ratzon Hashem, an expression of different ritzonos of the Rebbeinu Shalom. And every one of those is called a malach. And it is. And they're all working simultaneously for one purpose. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What's that purpose? That we attain closeness to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Here's what I came. The Rebbeinu Shalom Kivayochel has the ability to give us, because that's what He created us for. That's Krias Shema Yitzchak. That's Krias Shema Yitzchak. Now, you see, Yetzias Mitzrayim is the thing that really expresses it best, because there it was clear what the Rebbeinu Shem was doing. He was manipulating destiny. He went ahead and did things that were totally outside of Teva, twisted and tore every one of the laws of nature for the purpose of Klal Yisrael, for making us an Am Segula, for turning us into the Mamlechas Kohanim v'Kodesh, so that we stood at the foot of Har Sinai and attained Nevuah, heard Anochi v'Layem Pi Agvura from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yetzias Mitzrayim, more than anything else, shows that there's purpose. So much so that the Smak explains the mitzvah of Emunah is presented as Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Tzisicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim, to let us know that not only is it an Emunah that you have to believe, but also in Hashgacha, and that there's a purpose to what Hashem created the world for, and that everything He does is leading in that direction. Yeah. That's Birkas Krias Shema. We're getting closer to the Rebbeinu Shem himself. We're getting into the underlying purpose of all that exists, and how everything, with all of its details, everything is perfectly synchronized. Everything is working in unison to bring about Yichudo Yisbarach, Ritzono Yisbarach, which is giving us the ability to get the schar of Lishaneg al Hashem for having chosen Toivah. Birkas Krias Shema brings us closer to be able to feel that we're standing in front of the King himself.